Welcome to Larry Lash Tours, an air charter company where we provide air concierge to all our customers depending on their preferences.
And to talk about air concierge, we cannot push aside tourism. And that is why we have a podcast called Journey Beyond.
And today we've had the privilege of interviewing Ecotourism, where they've outlined to us all their structures and all their challenges facing them. Please make sure you watch.
For Ecotourism Kenya, in line with the conservation, our main mandate is to promote sustainable and responsible tourism.
I look at our neighbor countries, like for example Tanzania, whereby I look at their tourism, and their tourism is, I would say, 80% ahead. There's something you've mentioned, Kenya Tourism Federation.
Yes.
And then there's Kenya Tourism Board. And then there's
Tourism Fund. Yes.
And those, okay, no offense, but those too many bodies trying to run a kitchen.
Exactly, like too many cooks in
Too many cooks.
Yeah.
Why can't it be all under
One
umbrella?
Sit back, please. Trust you me. This is a very interesting show whereby we get to segment all the contributors of tourism and aviation, and specifically eco-friendly tourism.
And also, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can all move together in this journey beyond.
Hey, what's up? Thank you once more for joining us for this amazing podcast. Your host is Kennedy Gaitho, and as always, I'm with
Kevin Juguna, and I'm very happy to be here today. We have a very amazing guest with us. I will let her introduce herself.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving me this opportunity just to have this conversation today. My name is Lynnet Kamonde, the Chief Executive Officer, Ecotourism Kenya.
Karibu sana. Eco and tourism. So normally when people think about tourism, they think of kawaida tourism. So what differentiates the local, like kawaida tourism, and the initials eco?
Maybe before I answer that, let me just take this opportunity to introduce the Ecotourism Kenya to you, and then during that conversation, that's when now we can be able now to say the distinction between now the eco and now the traditional tourism.
Yes. Okay.
So for Ecotourism Kenya, in line with the conservation, our main mandate is to promote sustainable and responsible tourism that promote Kenya's natural environment and also support community livelihoods. And we do this, we achieve this through integrating sustainability initiative in our operations and through our program areas. And one of the things we do have is the voluntary certification called Eco-Rating certification for natural and also for protected areas and for city and urban areas. And we also have training and capacity building and also mentorship for community-based tourism associations, and also leadership and mentorship program for students, and policy and advocacy and partnership that enhance conservation protection. And we also have cultural preservation and economic empowerment. And when you talk about ecotourism and a distinction from the traditional tourism, is that Ecotourism Kenya is very key. Ecotourism is very key in matters environmental conservation and community engagement. But when you talk about the traditional tourism, it's just how fancy the tourism is, but now it's not touching in matters sustainable tourism, it's not touching in matters community involvement, and it's not also touching in matters environmental conservation and protection.
So you've mentioned you do trainings and all that. So the question would be to Kenyans, are you a parastatal or are you an independent oversight that looks into conservation in the tourism industry?
So thank you so much for that question. So about Ecotourism Kenya, we are a membership organization under the non-profit making organization.
Okay.
So we are not a parastatal, but we are just an NGO that supports sustainability matters and also conservation and community engagement.
What do you think your core mission in relation to wildlife conservation would be? Like, how does ecotourism align itself with conservation?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what Ecotourism Kenya does probably will you will allow me to align most of the things that we do under our certification program. Because when you talk about eco-rating certification, we are targeting 4 main criteria, and one of the criteria is conservation. And when we talk about conservation, it's, we are talking about our biodiversity protection. That is in terms of restoration, and also we're talking about wildlife protection. And also another thing that we are talking about when you talk about conservation under our eco-rating certification, we are also looking on waste management, that is reduce, recycle, and also reuse. We encourage that. And also we talk about responsible consumption and production, because we also want to reduce footprints, carbon footprints within the tourism sector. So those are some of the things that we are talking about when you're talking about conservation. And also in terms of now the wildlife that you say, we are also looking at how best our facility can be able to promote wildlife conservation in their operations within their daily operations within their facilities and also within their businesses practices.
Okay.
So can I ask, what are the challenges you're facing when it comes to community tourism?
So the challenges we are facing when it comes to community tourism, I can peg on some of the questionnaires and also the surveys that we've currently done in terms of empowerment for the community. And that's why when I was doing the introduction, I talked about training and capacity building and also mentorship for community. Because most of the things that we've noticed about communities is about leadership and also group formation, because some of them form a group or form the community with the wrong reasons. So it's important for us to take them through the leadership and also to take them through now group formation. We have matter sustainability, matter decision making. How can we be able to incorporate the local communities in our tourism activities? Because we cannot talk about sustainability, we talk about conservation and we leave out community. And so those are some of the challenges that we're actually facing when we talk about community and in their involvement in the tourism, being the key stakeholders in the tourism sector.
What role do indigenous or local knowledge when it comes to systems in conservation model?
Yeah, when you talk about indigenous and also the local knowledge, they play a critical role. They're like a knowledge hub in matters sustainability, in matters tourism, in matters culture, and also in matters community engagement. Because you remember, these are the custodian of all this information. And we cannot be able to talk about conservation and we talk about involving other key activities without having this indigenous knowledge to incorporate, and also in terms of education and also intergenerational learning within now the tourism sector.
That leads me to this question. 2025 is here.
Yes.
I don't know, because normally like to ask. Normally, most companies or NGOs or government, they close their books in June. So for you guys, is it January to December, or is it June to June?
Yes, for us, it's January to December.
January to December.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question would be, how does 2025 look for you guys in terms of what are your projections? What are your plans for 2025?
Yeah, so our plans for 2025, we have many plans that we do have in matters environmental and also in matters sustainability. And one of the things that we do have for 2025, and one of the things that we have already implemented, is in terms of a leadership and mentorship program because we had a very productive trainings for our students, where we had received 107 applications, and out of that we were able to train 20 of them, and so far we have already also placed them in our members for the host organization for a 3 months internship. Another thing that we also looking forward to do for this particular period, we have our Ecotourism Kenya Sustainable Tourism Forum that is coming up on 12th and 13th of June this year, and the theme is transforming tourism models for impact and also resilience, for sustainable impact and resilience. And currently we are invitation from all the membership just to join us, and also the tourism stakeholders. And also another thing that we do have during the year is the annual general meeting, just for us to engage our members, and also for us to get to know the year in review. What are we able to do it better in the year 2025, and what can 2024, and what can we be able to do it better coming this year? So those are some of the key things. And another thing is on the community engagement. Like I say, we've been having a very productive community engagement since at the beginning of 2012, when we revived the program area. And through that we've been able to train many a community-based tourism association. And one of the things that one of the key deliverables actually for 2024 was in collaboration with the Kakamega County. We were able to train 20 community-based tourism association in matters leadership, in matters group formation, in matters sustainability, environment, and also product development within the tourism sector. So we are also looking forward in doing so next year, this year, and we are targeting Muguga, CFA, and also Kenvo being our partners and also members of Ecotourism Kenya.
Just to mention, you've mentioned partners. Could you kindly even mention other partners that probably also contribute to your AGM as well?
So thank you so much. So for partners which contribute to our AGM, we can start with our membership, those who are taking the voluntary certification, because we have over 100 facilities that are on board for our eco-rating certification, both for city and also for natural and protected areas. We also have other partnership, like we have a green tour project with EU, where we were able to support tour operators in matter sustainability, and also in matters how can they be able to include sustainability in their tourism operations. We are also currently in conversation with WWF to see if we can come on board and be able to partner in matters wildlife protection and also community engagement in some of the things that we are doing. And also recently, that is last year, we also had a partnership with UNEP, where we were able to develop a harmonized standard for the tourism sector in East Africa. And currently we have already taken up, we have already presented this to East Africa, and we are looking forward in having these adapted within the sector in the region.
So you've mentioned you've worked with a lot of partners, and a lot of people who would want to join your efforts. I'm sure you come across something called greenwashing, where you're not able to distinguish who is actually a conservation-based tourist and someone who just wants to push their agenda. Would you have systems in place to actually vet such people or distinguish between the two?
So thank you so much for that question. Actually, greenwashing is a thing, not in Kenya alone, but also globally, since most of the eco-travelers nowadays are very keen on the destination that are promoting sustainability. And most of the tour operators, or some of the tour operators, let me say so, they tend to be green, but actually they are not green. And some of the things that has Ecotourism Kenya been put in place for us just to ensure those who are really practicing best practices or sustainability, and those who are greenwashing. So one of the things that we can be able to look at in terms of voluntary certification, because you may see that our certification that is eco-rating is not that something that is mandatory within the law, but there are some facility who have already accepted to take up that voluntary. And the reason being that we peg these as more sustainable is because they undergo very rigorous process, especially in regards to matters environmental conservation. They need to show, they need to produce, if it's MOU between them and other association, maybe the conservation association that are doing, they need to produce that. We also need to look at their business practices and the kind of policies that they do have just to support those initiatives. We are also looking at community. How are they supporting communities? Are they employing within the community? Are they purchasing the local products? So those are some of the things that we are also doing. And also in terms of culture, how are they supporting the culture? So when we talk about the greenwashing, we look at all that, and they need to produce a document for us now to be able to see that. Another good example, for you to join a member, we do have green credential. A form that if at all you're not taking up the voluntary certification, but you purely want to be member of Ecotourism Kenya, we do have a green credential. As a tour operator, you're supposed to fill in just for you to highlight some of the initiative best practices that you are doing in terms of waste management, in terms of water management, conservation, in terms of community engagement. So those are some of the things that we are looking at. And then one of the key things that we did under the Green Tour project, just to support the tour operators, we are also looking at for them now to have like public reporting, where they need to declare their sustainability initiatives. They need to show the kind of projects that they are doing within now that particular year. And they also need to show some of the partners that actually they are working with. And they also need to mention. So through mentioning, we can be able to tell that actually these are people that are promoting sustainability. And another thing also that we do, we have a social, corporate social responsibility that you are also checking in terms of how best is the facility promoting social responsibility, corporate social responsibility activity in their tourism operations. So those are some of the things that we are looking at for us to know that actually a tour operator, they are not practicing greenwashing, but they're actually practicing what they preach.
How long have you been in existence?
So for Ecotourism Kenya, we've been in existence since 1996.
Wow.
So we are celebrating our 29th year this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that means you probably have partnered with people like NEMA, or so that, because when I look at Ecotourism Kenya, it's not part of the law when you talk about,
Yes.
So how do you ensure that a certain conservancy is following the criteria? Do you partner with NEMA, or is it like within the circle of tourism that you guys have agreed that you are the law when it comes to how do you guys ensure such?
Okay. So thank you so much for asking those questions. So for us, like I say, we are just an NGO, but in my initial introduction when I was doing our certification, we say we're looking at 4 criteria, and among them is the business practice. So among the business practice, we look at your what we call your application in terms of our NEMA license. We look at if you're TRA license, because that's a very, very key and very, very important. And previously, we've also had partnership with NEMA, where we need to support this. And also currently, for you to be an auditor under Ecotourism Kenya, you need to be a NEMA EIA. That is the environmental impact assessment expert. For you to be an auditor at Ecotourism Kenya. And also some of the things that we look at, like I say, is in terms of licenses that you do have. An NEMA license you need to have DOSH licenses in terms of health and safety. Also for the accommodations facility when we are looking at and when we are doing the audits in those facilities.
Okay. And I have one more question, which might sound a bit. Does the government support you?
Yes.
Or in what way?
Does the government
Yes,
support you?
we really have a very good relationship with the government. And when you check on some of our activity areas that we do, especially our award ceremony, we do have an Eco-Res award ceremony where we have Cabinet Secretary have been attending since 2015, and recently also the permanent secretary for the Tourism State Department for Tourism has also been attending, and also through support for parastatal like Kenya Tourism Board, they have been supporting us in our ceremony, in our sustainability forums. They have really been supportive. We can talk about Tourism Fund as a government parastatal. They have also been supporting our ceremony together with our forums. We can talk about also Tourism Tourism Promotion Fund. They are also been very supportive. We can talk about Tourism Regulatory Authority, in matter of sustainability, in kind of standards. I remember in 2019, we had a regulation policy position paper for homestay regulations where they were paying the same as the hotel, and yet the homestay were receiving less than what the hotels are doing. And we were able to do that through stakeholders consultation, and TRA was able to take up. And currently that has already been harmonized. So those are kind of partnership and also collaboration that we do have between private and public-private partnerships. So
nice.
truly the government supports us.
Okay, that's nice. And there's a new bill. So the current tourism bill is being what is it called? Edited. Yeah. So are you guys planning also to contribute into that bill? Because me personally, I feel that there are many bodies that play in the tourism industry. And this is coming from a point where I look at our neighbor countries, like for example Tanzania, whereby I look at their tourism, and their tourism is, I would say, 80% ahead of our tourism. And this is because when you look at the ratings in terms of even for aviation and all that, most Western world prefer going to Tanzania than Kenya. And when I look at Kenya, we are well placed. First of all, in terms of marketing, we have ecotourism. What is it that can be changed into that bill that can enable us to, go back up?
To be in the right trajectory towards.
And this is coming from an ecotourism Kenya.
Yes. So for that, in regards to maybe the park fees and all that, so for the tourism policy and bill, the revised one, so yes, there was a stakeholders consultation and also involvement. So for that, I won't be able to speak more on that, since that is something that we had already submitted our comments on that. And in matters regards to the park fees, that is now beyond the national government, because that's something that was taken up by the county government of Narok. So that one is, but we tried through Kenya Tourism Federation, just to follow up on that matter. But currently that is what it is now, and we are working in harmony to see how best we can be able now to provide value and experience for our travelers who are coming to Kenya.
There's something you've mentioned. Kenya Tourism Federation.
Yes.
And then there's Kenya Tourism Board. And then there's
Tourism Fund. Yes.
And those, no offense, but those too many bodies trying to run a kitchen.
Exactly, like too many cooks in
too many cooks.
Why can't it be all under
one umbrella? So for maybe I can say that for Kenya Tourism Federation, that is purely private sector, where we need to come out together as one voice. And it's presence of 7 private sector. We have CATO, we have KT, together with Ecotourism Kenya. For now, Kenya Tourism Board, that is totally different, and also it supports a totally different mandate. Because for them, the market Kenya has a sustainable tourism destination. That is when you talk about KTB, and that is a parastatal. And we now talk about
let me cut you off.
Yes.
There is also Magical Kenya.
Yes, Magical Kenya. So Magical Kenya is a product.
So aren't those two?
Has to be one very big. That's a very big kitchen.
No, for Magical Kenya is a baby of Kenya Tourism Board, because for you now to be able to sell, you need to have a brand. Now for selling brand here, the Kenya Tourism Board is Magical Kenya. Yes. So Magical Kenya and KTB, they are more of the same. Yes. And then we talk about tourism fund, those are just 2% levy, because I understand when you go to a hotel, there's a 2% that you're being charged for that. Just that to support the tourism activity, and it's being done under tourism fund.
And does this money come back to?
Yes, that's why I'm saying now that's what they used to support now, the tourism sector.
Okay. Because I'm thinking in terms of a local, typical Kenyan who does not understand what role is being played by who. At least for Kenya, for ecotourism, we understand your mandate. But when you look at other key players, we are like, it gets to raise the question.
So every one of us play a very key role.
Yeah.
In the tourism sector.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's very good. Now, as we head into the last segment, probably, what does the future for ecotourism look like when it comes to sustainability and conservation of this wildlife that we have in our country? Like, what are the goals and things that you have in place, maybe for the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so what we have maybe in regards to the future of Ecotourism Kenya in conservation and also matters wildlife. Yeah, so we are looking at having a tourism sector where we can have the code of conduct just to support those initiatives and also to support human wildlife coexistence. We are also looking at having a wildlife management plan where it can be able now to support the destinations and also now the tourism operators. We are also looking at having a visitor management for each and every key area within the destination so that we can know at what particular point we can have a visitor. It can accommodate a visitor, how many visitors at what particular point. Yeah, so those are some of the things. And when it comes to Ecotourism Kenya, we are looking at having our certification online, because currently we are doing manual certification, and we are looking at future where we are taking everything, because when you talk about sustainability, it's about reducing our footprint. And how can you be able to do that is through online certification, and it's through online training and training and capacity building. It's through mentorship through online.
As we finish, are you on social media platforms?
Yes, we are on social media platform. Maybe I can start with Ecotourism Kenya, and X, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We are Ecotourism Kenya. You can look at for that. And also myself on the same platforms. You can look at Lynnet Kamonde. Yeah, Lynnet Kamonde. Yes.
TikTok, nothing.
TikTok not yet, but maybe it's something that you're working on. And also for our what do you call the YouTube, we also have a YouTube page as Ecotourism Kenya. Maybe you can be able now just to check.
All right, our viewers, there you have it, straight from Ecotourism. What can I say? Thank you so much for coming. We do appreciate for your time. And for you guys, kindly let us know the questions that you'd want Ecotourism, or what more additional info you'd like to hear from Ecotourism. And for us, please kindly subscribe, like, share. But see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Asante.